Pirate I Was Dug Up by Robin, Chapter 561-580. Chapter 561 Gorose, 5 Elders Move. Open black lens bracket 1/4 ask for a full order close black lens bracket. The game with this C as a chessboard has already begun. Wei Sung event. Roland announced his return to the world. There is a deeper hidden meaning, that is to declare war on the world government. 4. This. The world government is naturally very clear. Why the two Gorose, 5 elders attacked Wei Sung. But even if it has come to the point where it is impossible to give up, whether it was Roland or the world government, both parties tacitly kept the last layer of window paper not completely torn. Mariajoy incident 36 years ago to the public. For Roland, the time is not yet ripe. Wants to declare war on the world government, he still needs some time to calm down this chaotic sea first. Gather all the forces that can be gathered. Likewise, for world government. Now that they are completely torn apart with Roland, they are doing more harm than good. 36 years ago, Roland defeated Rox, the overlord of the sea, and was named a hero. 36 years later, Luo Lin defeated the alliance of the two great four emperors with his own power. There was no time in the limelight. At this time, the hero Roland is an existence that countless people in the world should admire. At this juncture, if it were revealed that the government had crossed rivers and demolished bridges and wanted to do all kinds of cruel experiments against heroes who made great achievements, the result is bound to arouse the dissatisfaction of the people of justice all over the world. Especially Marine, which is directly under their government. In the worst case, even if it is very unlikely, the entire Marine will turn against them. This is the last thing the world government and the Gorose, 5 elders want to see. So before the black history of the world government was revealed, all Gorose, 5 elders and the world government have to do is to discredit Roland's heroic halo of justice and turn black and white before everything is made public. Today's Impel Down world is the number 1 played by the world government. With a history of 800 years is called the mighty force of fishing reels. If you control the fishing reels, you can control the power of civilians. Before the opening of the Great Pirate Age, there are more than half of the news agencies in the world, behind which there is the figure of the world government. It is with this power that the world government can turn black and white at will and fool the world. Even a world-famous marine hero was completely obliterated and eliminated from the world and history. However, since 20 years ago, One Piece King of Pirates Roger opens the era of great pirates. This sea has ushered in the most prosperous turbulent period in the past 800 years, and major events have occurred frequently, which has spawned a series of changes. The world, news agencies, large and small, have sprung up like mushrooms after a rain. Among them, Morgan's, who stands at the top of the journalism industry and cannot be controlled. The share and influence of world governments in journalism has been greatly reduced. But the world government has controlled the world for 800 years. A thin dead camel is also bigger than a horse. Now the world's famous old news agencies are still under the influence and control of the world government. As usual, nothing major. The government will not use it for no reason. But at this juncture now, their role is fully revealed. But in just a few hours, hero Roland, taking credit for his credit, invading Impel Down, and robbing Redfield, the heinous murderer, has spread all over the world. Result, the sea that had been quiet for a while was shaken again. Sometimes, the rendering power of text even far exceeds that of images. Especially in the hands of professional pen-holder news people. Admiral Akainu has offended many journalists. He was attacked by reporters after the incident. From various tricky angles, such as character behavior, lifestyle, and even appearance, as well as bits and pieces from the past, the black one is called an incomplete body. A red dog turns into a black dog. Let face-loving people like Admiral Akainu lose their temper completely. Now, the target of criticism from reporters has become Roland. Although it is only reported by a few newspapers, but relying on the name of the old news agency, the influence is large enough. Especially in the report, the words, accomplished and proud, are particularly powerful. After all, in history, it is not uncommon for heroes to be arrogant and unscrupulous because of their great contributions. There are many jealous people, or people who hate Luo Lin, and some people who show their own uniqueness, etc. At this moment, they are also jumping out, taking this opportunity to spare no effort to accuse and question Luo Lin's due. Of course, the cerebral palsy fishing remarks made by the jumping clowns will not shake Luo Lin's hero image in the hearts of most civilians. It's just that freezing 3 feet is not a day's cold. If the incident is allowed to ferment, it will inevitably go out of control. Now, the best way to deal with it is to use the real to deal with the real. There are professionals in this area in Weisung. Chapter 562, Marine Headquarters Riot. Open black lens bracket 2/4 for full order and custom order close black lens bracket. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. As a direct organization of the world government. This is where the Gorosei, 5 elders place the most importance on fishing reels. If the image of Luo Lin in the hearts of the Marines can be reversed in one fell swoop, for the world government, it is naturally the best. When the report of attacking and slandering Luo Lin was published, the entire Marine headquarters was shocked and caused a huge response. Nani, where is the bastard who wrote these reports? If I catch him, I won't kill him. Bullshit, it's just nonsense, scribble, how could Mr. Roland invade Impel Down? That's right, don't let me catch the grandson who wrote these reports, it's so deceiving. These bastards, it's better to revoke them now, otherwise, they will definitely let them go. All over the Marine headquarters, the Marines who returned from the Weisung incident shouted indignantly. Look at those discrediting reports on Rollins. These young sailors who participated in major events, had close contact with Roland, and regarded Roland as a hero. In their hearts were all rushing up with blood, and their hearts were extremely angry, and their eyes seemed to be spitting fire. It's enough to smear a Kainu admiral. Now it's too much to smear even our hero of Marine, Mr. Roland, who has twice defeated the villainous party and made great contributions. That's right, you can smear a Kainu admiral, but you can't smear Mr. Roland. Just passing by, Admiral Akainu's face suddenly turned black when he heard the conversation of the sailors. He waved his sleeves, and walked away cursing. The indignation was brewing and spreading all over the Marine headquarters. Just when the sailors spontaneously gathered in the headquarters square, wanting to ask the marshal to order to punish the unscrupulous media that spread rumors. Among the Marines, a traitor appeared. Everyone, listen to me, what these reports say may not be false. A world government eyeliner pretended to be flustered. What did you say? It's not fake. Do you know what you're talking about? If you spread rumors, you will be punished by military law. How could Mr. Rollins possibly invade Impel Down? The nearby Marines refuted loudly. He's right. These reports today are indeed not rumors, but true facts. A Marine Rear Admiral level government official came forward. Rear Admiral is already a general in Marine, and his level is not low. Naturally, his words carry a lot of weight. So, the faces of the originally menacing sailors were blank and unbelievable. What the hell is going on here? Does the hero Roland really rely on his own merits and go to Impel Down to do something wrong? Even the death row prisoners inside are taken away. It can be said to be a betrayal. Another person placed in the Marine by the world government shouted loudly. On the surface it looks incredible. However, every word in his mouth was full of malice. In the end, he even labeled Roland a traitor. Bang, a muffled sound. An old fist landed on the face of the government Navy soldier who was harboring evil intentions, knocking him upside down and flying out. You bastard, what the hell are you talking about? That's our Marine hero. Marine, who punched, yelled angrily. If the Marine hero is really our Marine's hero, why don't you return to the headquarters, but instead set up your own business outside, and even kidnapped our Marine's 40,000 soldiers. He is no longer Marine. The battered government navy still spared no effort in provocation, sparking conflict. Asshole. I see that you are really untidy. Today, I'm going to take the place of your superior and teach you a lesson. A stone stirs up 1,000 waves. There was an instant mess in Oaks Square. Brothers, beat him up. A sailor in the corner shouted loudly, with an inexplicable subtle smile on his face. He is also the man placed in Marine by the world government. The inciting words at this time were naturally not due to infighting. Rather, they want to use this riot to elevate the nature of this incident to a higher level. Under the deliberate fire of a group of government sailors, the noise of the headquarters square escalated. The scene seemed to get out of control. But at this moment, when a high-pitched bell rang suddenly from the square. That was the sound of the big bell of the Oaks in the Marine headquarters being struck. In general, the Oaks bell will only ring at the beginning of the new year. Today, however, it is ringing because of this dispute. Under the influence of the familiar Oaks bells, the seamen, who were already red-eyed, immediately stood at attention. Everyone, stop arguing. The green-haired Commodore Branu, who received the command from Marshal Sengoku, raised his horn and spoke loudly. About today's reports, not all of them are false. The hero Mr. Roland did go to Impel Down a few hours ago. The green-haired Commodore Branu announced loudly. Wow! The sailors in the square were all in an uproar. The corners of the mouths of the mixed government officials raised a proud arc. But only for a moment. Next second, the smiles on their faces suddenly solidified. Because the green-haired Commodore Branu's speech continues. Mr. Rollins did go to Impel Down for some reason, but these reports in the newspapers are all bullshit and malicious smears. In addition, there is one more thing. Not long ago, Mr. Roland, who happened to arrive at Impel Down, suppressed the prisoner riot in Impel Down by himself. He is a hero. Branu proclaimed in a loud, sonorous voice, word by word. The Oris Square was silent at first. Next second, shouts of excitement and joy resounded through the entire Marine headquarters. Chapter 563 Gather. Waesung Supreme Conference. Open black lens bracket 3/4 ask for a full order close black lens bracket. I knew that these reports were nonsense. The old bastard, did you hear me? Apologize. Apologize to the hero. ... The excited cheers of the Marines resounded through the sky in the Orals Square at the Marine headquarters. Looking at this sudden change, the government eyeliners who were secretly fighting the fire couldn't help being dumbfounded. The smile on his face was no longer, and instead, there was consternation, unwillingness and anger. This is not the result they want. Some government officials opened their mouths and seemed to want to say something to change the situation. However, before the words could be said, they were completely overshadowed by the excited cheers of the people. Up to now, their words have not had the slightest change or influence. There is even a high possibility of being attacked by the high-spirited Marines. And no matter who comes, they will only say the kind that deserves it. At this moment, Marine Headquarters Building Corridor. Mr. Sengoku, thank you. Admiral Kizaru let out a long sigh of relief and thanked Marshal Sengoku beside him. I just asked Branu to quell the commotion. This is the Marine Headquarters. If there is bloodshed, where will the face of my marshal go? As for what Branu will say, it has nothing to do with me. Marshal Sengoku spoke calmly. It's not straightforward at all, Mr. Sengoku. Admiral Kuzan teased. Next moment. Sensing that the stare from Marshal Sengoku seemed to be eating people, Kuzan hurriedly shrank his head. But then again, I don't know if I don't see it. I was startled when I saw it. There are so many government-related people in our marine. Admiral Kuzan's eyes narrowed to Vivi. Those bastards, the old man remembers you. Admiral Kizaru pouted and spoke angrily. The commotion in Marine, headquarters subsided for the time being. At this moment, far away on the other side of the sea, will not be as calm as usual. When the heroic attack reports collectively released by the old news agencies in the sea came to Wei Sung, like a sleeping lion, finally made a roaring sound. The more than 40,000 recruits who had just completed the division of the army were excited and full of fighting spirit and anger. To pacify those rumor news agencies. Luckily, there is Iron Face Chief Instructor Zephyr here. Stunned by Zephyr's majesty, young recruits calmed down a little and went back to wait for the news. At the same time, large conference room in Wei Sung headquarters building. 48 veterans, including Zephyr, Isho, Mulian, and Alfred, gathered together. Garp, Suru and Guillaume 3 are also listed. In addition, Shaki, Rayleigh, Vivi, Nami, Koala and other little girls who were worried about the two of them gathered in this conference room, which was opened for the first time. Mr. Zephyr, Mulian, what is the boss doing all of a sudden in Impel Down? Alfred, in the morning, the boss seems to have looked for you, is it related to this matter? Mr. Garp, Sister Crane, do you also know? The veterans looked anxiously at Zephyr, Garp and the others. Red the Aloof, Redfield, what a long-lost name. Rayleigh sighed to himself. Even if they had friendship before, that guy Roland wouldn't go out of his way to make trouble for this old man. Shaki frowned. Then it really is these news agencies who are spreading rumors and smearing Brother Rolling. Why on earth are these guys doing this kind of thing? It's really infuriating. Nami, Vivi, Koala and other little girls all clenched their little pink fists angrily. It's unforgivable, it's really unforgivable. These rumors are all from which news agencies dared to discredit Lord Luo Lin. My concubine will go to them now to settle accounts. The grumpy Queen Hancock gritted her teeth and was about to set off to fight. Hancock. A majestic female voice sounded. In this period, naturally only the middle Suru has such majesty. Yes, Sister Crane. Listening to Suru's coquettish drink, Hancock, the empress who had always been defiant and whose eyes were higher than the top, paused subconsciously, and responded obediently, without causing any further confusion. Lord Zephyr, Lord Garp, did my teacher really go to Impel Down today? Swordsman. Isho asked solemnly. The huge conference room was silent. Ah. Garp and Zephyr, who were always silent, nodded in unison. Chapter 564 To use magic, to defeat magic, open black lens bracket 4/4 for subscription close black lens bracket. Lord Zephyr, Lord Garp, did my teacher really go to that deep-sea prison today? Blind swordsman Isho asked solemnly. As Isho's voice fell, the originally noisy conference room fell silent. The eyes of men, women and children in the room all fell on Zephyr and Garp. Ah. Under everyone's attention, Garp and Zephyr nodded in unison. Wow. Suddenly there was an uproar from the veterans in the conference room. It's still the same question, why is the boss going to Impel Down? The boss did have some friendship with this writer before, but it shouldn't be so good, right? Invading Impel Down specifically for this Red Earl writer, I wouldn't believe such a thing. The veterans opened their mouths with questions. That's right, old folks, it's true that Boss Rollins didn't go to Impel Down for what writer went to, the boss went there for other people. Mulian opened his mouth. Other people. Who? It's all at this time, everyone, don't sell it. Well, we originally planned to wait for the boss to come back to surprise you, but it's not good to hide it now. Alfred, who also knew the inside story, nodded. Actually, the boss went to Impel Down this time for our partner who was imprisoned in the infinite hell, the giant Saul. Former Marine Vice Admiral Alfred spoke solemnly. 20 years ago, Saul did not die, but was secretly locked up in Impel Down by Kuzan. This is the information brought by the 3 boys Kuzan sent this morning. Mullen added. The voices of Mulien and the two fell, the huge conference room fell silent again. Next second, filled with shock, excitement, joy, relief and other emotions resounded throughout the audience. Giant Saul, is it Saul Vice Admiral? That guy Saul is still alive. I thought he was already dead. That's great. Never thought I'd see Saul again. Really, Mr. Garp, Mr. Zephyr, Sister He, and Mulien, you are so mean, you are still hiding this happy event from us. Ha ha ha, as expected of our boss. Really reliable. ... Hear that partner Saul is still alive. The anxiety and depression in the hearts of the veterans were instantly swept away. No matter how annoyed he was before, Rolingo's former subordinate, Saul, the name seems a little familiar. Nami frowned slightly. Giant Vice Admiral Saul, ah, I remember. Koala seemed to have thought of something. The Marine Giant Vice Admiral Saul, he is the one who protected Sister Robin in the O'Hara incident 20 years ago. No wonder the mentor took Sister Robin with him. So it is. That's really nice. Under Koala's reminder, the little girls nodded with joy. It turned out to be for my subordinates, I'll just say, that's the guy's style. Rayleigh laughed. The gentle giant Saul, it's really nostalgic, and Ryder. Hoo, Mr. Roland probably brought Ryder out when he was saving Saul. Brooke guessed with a smile. Hear the words. The smiles on the faces of the veterans who were immersed in the joy of their old friends still alive suddenly stopped. Zephyr, Suru and the others shook their heads helplessly. Because of this, they have already thought about it. Even if the world government wants to deliberately smear it, it can't always aim at nothing. That guy Roland really doesn't care about the name of a hero at all, puff ha ha ha, he really deserves to be my best friend. Garp couldn't help but scream. 1 and 2 are idiots. Zephyr snorted softly. Sister He, don't be angry, act according to your heart and be free, this is the father. Guillaume took Suru's arm and blinked. Of course I know that. Suru raised his slender hand and brushed it lightly on Guillaume's hair. Her low mood at the moment is not because of this, but something else. Bang bang bang, there was a knock on the door outside the conference room. Come in. Zephyr said solemnly. The door opens. Birdman Morgans hurried over. The chief instructor of Zephyr, the head of Mrs. He, has already checked it out. It is indeed the world government standing behind those newspapers. The News King Morgans reported loudly. World government. It's so deceiving. What happened 36 years ago, do they want to do it again? Come here, cowardly, this time I will definitely follow the boss's footsteps. I am not afraid of shattering my bones. ... The veterans were all outraged. Everyone, don't worry. As a professional public relations officer in Dawachung, I already have countermeasures to deal with the impact of this fishing boat. The News King Morgans spoke confidently. Silly bird, you really have a way. Nami was overjoyed. Gah. Listening to Nami's silly bird call, the confident posture Morgans had just put on collapsed, and a staggering almost fell. Morgans, what method did you think of? Shaki asked. Cough cough. Morgans is right. The best way to deal with the reels is create new reels and use reels to beat reels. ... Chapter 565 Shocked. The truth about the infinite hell riot. Open black lens bracket 1/4 close black lens bracket. What are you going to do to beat the reel with a reel? Mulien looked at Morgans in confusion. It is indeed true that Lord Roland went to advance the prison robbery. Whether it is for the Red Earl or Saul, the nature of the incident is the same, and this is what the commoners are seeing now. So first of all, we need to shift the public's attention to other major events, and downplay the nature of the word, prison robbery. Morgan Street. Agaga, we can also think of the method of diverting our eyes, just how to do it specifically. There are no major incidents in the sea now. Alice, the girl in the peaked cap, said. Miss Alice is a good question. In fact, there was another big incident in the deep-sea prison impelled down today, but it was deliberately concealed by the government. Morgans nodded. What's the matter? The eyelids of Garp, Zephyr, Suru and others jumped involuntarily, as if they could smell an unpleasant aura. Go back to Mrs. He, just now, my line at the Marine headquarters. Morgan stopped abruptly halfway through his words. Line what? Suru's beautiful eyes, Vivi, squinted in a dangerous arc. Could it be the informant Morgan's? You put eyeliner in the Marine headquarters. Upright girl Vivi blurted out subconsciously. As Vivi's voice fell, the unfriendly eyes of the old people in the conference room all fell on Morgan's. Not to mention Garp, Crane, Guillaume 33 Marine Vice Admiral. That is, Zephyr, Alfred and the others, who have left Marine, also look bad, and cannot tolerate undercover agents from other forces in Marine. Feeling the bad eyes from all directions, cold sweat instantly wets Morgan's whole body. Morgans glanced aggrievedly at Vivi, the upright girl who exposed his old bottom. A bird's face was drooping, his head was downcast, and he was no longer in the same high spirits as before. Okay, let's not investigate this matter for the time being, Morgans, go ahead and talk. Suru spoke calmly. As Suru's voice fell, the veterans opened up. The pressure that shrouded Morgans disappeared. Thank you, Mrs. Crane. Morgans thanked and took a deep breath. My friend in Marine headquarters just heard the news. Just today, there was a prisoner riot escape in Impel Down, which happened to be suppressed by Lord Roland who arrived at the big prison, and this did not cause any irreversible incident consequences. After knowing this, I went to Impel Down's friends again to verify, and it turned out to be true, and the prisoner's riot escape was the unknown 6 underground floors of Impel Down, Infinite Hell. Exclamation mark quote. Morgans said solemnly. This time. The old people in the conference room didn't care about Morgans's Impel Down friend. At this moment, their attention is attracted by the events of the Infinite Hell riots he tells. The 6 underground floors of the big prison, the Infinite Hell is rioting. It's also really scary. Fortunately, there is Boss Luo Lin. Otherwise, the sea will be more chaotic. The veterans who know the details of the Infinite Hell can't help but have lingering fears. Impel Down is 6 floors underground. Is it scary? Kaya and Makino don't know much about the secrets of the deep-sea prison. At this moment, he can't help but tilt his head in doubt. Of course it's scary. Koala nodded solemnly. Agaga, even I have only heard of that place once in a while. It is said that the pirates held in it have a bounty of 100 million Baileys. Alice, the girl in the peaked cap, said, what? All the little girls widened their eyes in shock. Infinite Hell is a place that cannot be made public, and it is a huge danger for any prisoner in it to run out casually. Guillaume solemnly added. Is there such a terrifying place in this world? Besides, if it is the pirates with the most sinful crimes, why not just execute them directly? Nami was puzzled. Yes, it's fortunate that Brother Luo Lin happened to be there today, otherwise there will be another riot to escape from prison, and if those people escape, I don't know how many people will suffer. Vivi echoed Dao. Little girls, in fact, in the hundreds of years since Impel Down was built, there has never been a prisoners' collective riot to escape. Today seems to be the first one. Oh, why did Nami and the others suddenly ask in unison? However, when the words came out, he was stunned. Because they also figured out why. Probably, maybe, the prisoner riots in Impel Down today, I'm afraid they have something to do with their favorite, Big Brother. Chapter 566_Blackbeard. Joker, become my subordinate open black lens bracket 2/4 close black lens bracket. The huge conference room suddenly fell silent. Which has never had a collective escape of prisoners for hundreds of years, happened to riot when Roland went. Then think of Roland's temperament. The truth has come out. 80% of this incident has something to do with their own. Thinking of this, both the veterans, Nami, Vivi and other little girls were speechless for a while. For a long time. Ahahaha, you really deserve to be the boss. No matter where you are, it will not be quiet, this is our boss. The veterans smiled helplessly. I can already imagine what happened. This is the strategy used by the boss before. It seems to be fishing law enforcement. A veteran said suddenly. Ah, what is the fishing law enforcement? The boss calls snakes out of their holes. If the prisoners were not malicious, the boss wouldn't go to trouble them. Mullen corrected. Ha ha ha. The crowd couldn't help laughing. PFF'd, ha ha ha, that Sengoku guy should be regretting his bowels by now. Garp laughed too. It's just a bunch of deadly criminals who have committed crimes, and they die in vain. Besides, in the eyes of this old man, those bastards in the infinite hell shouldn't be locked up. They should have been killed a long time ago, and the world will be quiet. Zephyr spoke indifferently. If it were a few decades ago, as a naive and benevolent person who didn't kill Admiral, he would definitely condemn Roland's actions. However, since his wife and children died tragically at the hands of pirates, Zephyr has also changed. Now not only do not condemn anything, but even a little want to applaud. I wish I could be at the scene, participate in it, and have a good time. The Zephyr chief instructor is right, those useless prisoners with heinous crimes should have been killed long ago. Birdman Morgans agrees. However, their deaths this time have at least some effect. My idea is that no matter what the cause of the riots of prisoners in infinite hell is, the most important thing is the result. It was Lord Roland who suppressed the riot, enough to attract the attention of the commoners. In addition, there is the one that the world government deliberately came here. Infinite hell, if it were announced, many people would be interested, and there should be many people who would like to know about the government's imprisonment without killing those. The intention of the most wicked people, these two things are what I call public opinion. Speaking of which, Morgans was a little bit high-spirited from before. Tsuru, Shaki and others all nodded, agreeing with Morgan's idea. The news and public opinion war is indeed the home field of Morgans, the news king. Then leave the matter to you, Morgans. Waesung chief instructor Zephyr made the final decision. Order, promised to complete the task. Morgans saluted cheerfully. A bird's face has a look of excitement, gearing up for a fight, as if he is going to do a big job. In the past, his career was to make big news and shake the sea. But this time the nature is slightly different. This is the first time that he has confronted the behemoth called the world government head-on to gain control of public opinion. If successful, he will be a veritable king of journalism. The meeting ended when the response to this crisis was handed over to professional Morgans. The people who knew the cause and effect dispersed, each looking forward to waiting for Luo Lin's return. The other side showed his efficiency to the people of Waesung and the world. Just 2 hours later, the reversal report of the World Economic News is spread all over the sea. The people of the world were once again shocked and shocked. New World, the land of love and passion and toys, Dressrosa. Hey, Dover, look at this and this, Morgans' World Economic News. The counterattack from Waesung really came. Torapal, the top official of the Don Quixote family with a drooping nose, cried anxiously. The news king Morgans, as expected, has 2 brushes. With just a few words, he has reversed the direction of the wind and shifted the focus of the conflict to other places. Now, the trend of our Dressrosa folks has completely changed. Lao Dao, the elderly. First, the Gorosei, 5 elders, who have the highest power in the world, personally dispatched to attack Waesung, and now it is a head-to-head confrontation on the battlefield of public opinion without the smoke of gunpowder. Could it be that in the near future, that Wasei, that hero really wants to fight with is the world government going to war? Jorah, the fruit of art, was stunned. Throne, Shichibukai Doflamingo suddenly covered his forehead and let out a nervous laugh. If the heroic Roland world government wants to fight, let them fight enough. It would be best if they all die. Doflamingo smiled grimly. At this moment, a phone bug with 3 missing teeth on the table suddenly rang. Dover, the guy is here again. The top cadre Pika said in a sharp voice. Go on. Doflamingo said solemnly, his face gloomy like water. Yes. The phone bug is connected. Zia ha 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 ha, clown, how are you thinking about becoming my subordinate? On the other end of the phone worm, came the smug laughter of Blackbeard Marshall Teach. Chapter 567 The Change of Wanokuni. A princess who dreams of a hero. Open black lens bracket 3/4 close black lens bracket. Blackbeard Teach, if you want to get my support, take down Wanokuni first, let's talk about it, fur. Gah. Plus, the phone bug hangs up the communication. Wea has been rejected again, Captain Teach. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess laughed drunkenly. Zia ha 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 ha, it's okay, that clown will come to me sooner or later. Blackbeard held up the wine bottle and laughed wantonly and flamboyantly. Dang dang, knocked on the door. Come in, hiccup Blackbeard burps. Crash, the wooden sliding door was pushed open. 2 little brothers in kimonos with their hair tied in buns hurriedly retreated to the sides. Immediately in front of Blackbeard's group of 4 was a tall man dressed in a luxurious blue patterned samurai kimono, with a dark blue jet, and his triangular eyes squinting as if he were sleeping. Ziahaha, Boss Denjiro is here. Your wine here is delicious. Blackbeard greeted with a big smile. It would be great if your excellency Teach likes it. Wanokuni, the #1 thug under General Orochi, Denjiro, the first person in the contemporary underworld in the flower capital, replied with a half-smile. Although the wine is good, it would be even better if there was no one to accompany you, Ziahahaha. Blackbeard opened his mouth as if pointing. Your Excellency Teach, did the girls last night fail to serve you well? If so, you will be punished heavily. Denjiro squinted and smiled. Why no, Boss Denjiro, don't pretend to be confused. What our Captain Teach wants is Miss Kazuki Hiyori here. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess laughed. We've been here for a few days now, ahem, but we didn't even show Kazuki's face. How could he? I'm afraid we won't be your general after eating that Kazuki. Stingy. The sickly reaper spoke coldly. Ziahahaha, poison, Burgess, gentlemen don't take people's favor. Since that is the woman that General Orochi likes, let's forget it for the time being. Blackbeard rode. As expected of Captain Teach, General Orochi has set up a feast at the General's mansion, waiting for you to go. Denjiro rode. Are you finally willing to accept reality? Otonyoshi Van Auger's mouth twitched. If that's the case, then let's take a trip. With General Orochi's help, it will be much easier for us to receive Kaido's legacy. We look forward to this cooperation. Blackbeard Teach got up, staggered away, and fell. Crack, Blackbeard's body like a black pig fell to the ground. A dazzling light flashed across the sky. Next moment, the high-pitched and loud dragon roar resounded throughout the flower capital. A 100-meter-long black dragon danced in the wind and clouds, causing waves of terrifying waves, and the momentum was huge. This terrifying scene made the residents of the Flower City scream in fear and panic. Why, this dragon's ability is really convenient. I won't need a boat for travel in the future. Fighting champion Jesus Burgess Trio 3 jumps on the dragon's back. Ziahahaha, go. Blackbeard laughed. The dragon swings its tail. A group of 4 swept straight towards the central general's mansion in the capital of flowers. Blackbeard Teach. Blackbeard's go away. Denjiro's drowsiness is lifted. That were originally sleepy were now as sharp as swords. Wow, Denjiro flicked his robe sleeves, turned around and went up to the top floor of the Fangyuan, before a vermilion gate. Come in. A beautiful female voice came from inside the house. Denjiro pushed the door straight in, and knelt down on one knee to the pretty girl in the room. Princess Hiyori. In front of everyone in this country, he is Wanokuni's most ruthless underworld eldest brother, sleepy Denjiro. Only in front of the girl in front of him can he be his truest self. He is Denjiro. One of the 9 members of the 9 members, was once a retainer of Kazuki Oden, Akane. And the Kazuki girl in front of him is the blood of the Lord, the princess of Wano-kuni, Kazuki Hiyori. Uncle Denjiro, you don't have to, get up. Kazuki Hiyori quickly stood up to help. Hee. Denjiro was miserably isho and fell down on the tatami. A few days ago, Blackbeard descended to the Flower City in the form of a dragon, shaking the entire Wano-kuni. The news about the big events in the outside world and the news about the death of the 4 emperors Kaido of the Beasts made the Wano-kuni executives including General Orochi unable to sleep through the night. And Princess Hiyori, who also saw the news, were so happy that they couldn't sleep. What happened next, however, proved it was too early for them to be happy. Appearing in the flower capital with a high profile as a dragon, the Blackbeard who intimidated them obviously came with a different purpose. Not just as a messenger. Instead, he will take over all the properties of Kaido of the Beasts as the new King Gokuni of Wano-kuni. Even so, nothing has changed. This country is still under the dual oppression of Shenlong and Orochi, and there is no chance of turning over. Master Hiyori, please hide the blood bag on your body. If it is really a last resort, at least let your subordinates protect you. Denjiro said solemnly. Don't say such things, Uncle Denjiro, everything will be fine. Kazuki Hiyori raised a reluctant smile on her pretty face. After a moment of silence. Hey, Uncle Denjiro, do we also have heroes in Wano-kuni? Kazuki Hiyori asked. Denjiro was silent. Probably not. Kazuki Hiyori hugged his knees lonely. Uncle Denjiro, is what you said that day true? That, the hero Roland reported in the news, has he really been to Wano-kuni before? He and his mother met more than 40 years ago, and Uncle Roger, they often whether the person mentioned as the same person. If it is a person, he should be an old man in his 70s or 80s, but why is he still so young? It's beautiful. Princess Hiyori held her cheeks in her slender hands and looked up at the sky with a look of longing. Chapter 568 Whitebeard's Reaction. Marco and Ace are back. Open black lens bracket 4/4 close black lens bracket. New World, the island under the jurisdiction of the 4 emperors Whitebeard, Blue Sky Island. The huge whale ship Moby Dick moored quietly on the coast. The tall 4 emperors Whitebeard sat quietly on the deck. A team of graceful leopard print nurses surrounded him, routinely checking his body every day and putting on nursing nutrition drops. Daddy. Dad, look at this. That awesome marine hero has done something amazing again. The Whitebeard Pirates 3rd Division Captain Diamond Jozu, 5th Division Foil Vista, 7th Division Captain Lakyo and others rushed over anxiously. All of them had shocked expressions on their faces. Kula la la la, what did that bastard Luo Lin do? Whitebeard laughed heartily. This. Diamond Jozu hands the newspaper to Whitebeard. The big event has just ended, that. The hero Luo Lin actually killed the Impel Down prison. What does this mean? Vista, the captain of the 5th Division, opened his mouth in shock. Bad people do bad things all their lives, and in the end they do a good thing. It's called a prodigal son. A good person does a good thing in a lifetime. When they make a mistake in the end, it's called revealing the truth. This world is really ironic. Diamond Jozu shook his head and sighed. Even as a pirate, even if he was supposed to be hostile to marine heroes, after reading these reports, he couldn't help but feel a little indignant in his heart. So it's better to be a Tide hero than to be a pirate and be free and happy. No one will point fingers at the behavior of pirates. 7th Division Captain Lakjodao. Kula la la la, that bastard, as expected, is still the same as before, a complete lunatic. What kind of hero's name is not binding to him at all? He is also a free man on the sea. Whitebeard shouted arrogantly. Dad, but I still don't understand, that. What is the relationship between the hero Roland and the Red Earl Redfield, who would give up the title of hero for him? and go to rescue him? Jozu asked with a puzzled face. Yeah, that. Although Ryder was not an orthodox pirate before, he was just a loner, but he was also a big criminal who was rewarded by Marine at a high price. As Marine's hero Luo, is this the case? Is there anything they don't do? Is it a known secret relationship? Vista, the captain of the 5th Division, looked at him with a gossip on his face. The two bastards, Ryder and Roland, did know each other before, but their relationship was not that good. Whitebeard's pale golden eyes lit up. Oh, then why are all the captains puzzled? These reports are very targeted. They want to catch that fellow Roland to death. There must be a big problem. Wait, this incident should not be over yet, we just have to wait and see. Whitebeard opened his mouth quietly, his eyes deep. After a while, Whitebeard's big hand subconsciously probed for the jug not far away, and it was just half drinking. Really, Dad, didn't you promise us not to drink today? Today's bit is wasted again. Sometimes you have to take good care of your body. Seeing this, the leopard print nurses who were nursing for Whitebeard puffed up their faces angrily, put their hands on their hips, and looked at their father helplessly. Kola la la la. Whitebeard laughed a few times, hiding his embarrassment. Sure enough, only Captain Marco can control Dad. The leopard print head nurse groaned. Hey! At this moment, a crisp phoenix roar suddenly sounded in the sky. In the sky, a blue line of fire stood out. On the sea, a blazing flame was dazzling. One red and one blue, two lines of fire crossed the sky, crossed the sea, and swept straight to the direction of the whale ship Moby Dick. Look at the two familiar lines of fire. The members of the White Regiment on the whale ship Moby Dick all shouted in excitement. It's Captain Marco and Captain Ace. Marco and Ace are back. Hey, Marco, Ace. Everyone in the white group greeted them warmly. Ha ha ha, everyone, long time no see. We're back. Sky, the blue phoenix Marco appeared. At sea, Fire Fist Ace also walked out of the flames, jumped up, and landed on the whale deck. Daddy. Daddy. Marco and Eski looked at Whitebeard. Kala la la la, just come back safely. Happy, Whitebeard drank the half jug of wine left in his hand. Little ones, the banquet is ready. Oh. Chapter 569 Legendary Brother. 100 years of shocking redheads open black lens bracket 5 more order close black lens bracket. New World. The four emperors, red-haired Shanks, administered an isolated island. The rich aroma of wine is mixed with the aroma of barbecued meat. The melodious and cheerful pirate song resounded over the island with the cheers of the people. A grand and lively banquet is now underway. Ha ha ha, everyone, have you all seen my son's activity? Yasop, who returned from the Waesung event, raised his glass and laughed happily. Yes, we've all seen it in the newspapers. As expected of Yasop's son. The members of the red-haired pirates expressed their appreciation. Hey, boss, Luffy is really good now, maybe it won't be long before we can see him on the sea. The little fat man Readaloud spoke excitedly. Ahahaha, Luffy, that kid has really grown up with the hero, I look forward to seeing him again. The four emperors' red-haired Shanks grinned isho. Yasop, Lu, Luffy and Usopp will talk about the two boys later. Now, let's talk about how you feel in the big event, and that. The hero who defeated Kaido one after another, Roland, who is he? How personal. An officer of the red-haired pirates shouted loudly. Ha ha ha, that's fine. Yasop nodded. Actually, about that Wachung, but there are still secrets released, don't be too surprised when you hear it. The little fat man Readaloud pretended to be mysterious. Speak quickly. Red cadres gathered around and urged. Then let's start from when we arrived in that city, do you know who we saw there? Yasop rode. Isn't that the hero? No, it's the legendary flying pirate Golden Lion Shiki. The little fat man Lakilu said solemnly. What? Nani? How can the golden lion Shiki be here? Everyone in red was unconsciously shocked. It's too early to be shocked. The corners of Usopp's mouth twitched. The unruly golden lion Shiki has now been tamed by the hero Roland, and has completely become the hero's little brother. When Usopp's voice fell, the audience fell silent. Then, the sound of people's Adam's apple rolling and the sound of sucking in the cold air suddenly formed one after another, one after another. Even if they are members of the top pirate group in this sea, after hearing this subversive shocking news, they are still calm at the moment. After all, that's the golden lion Shiki. One of the most terrifying careerists in the sea of the last era. But now he has become someone else's younger brother. Became the younger brother of a former marine hero. The contrast is so great that it is unacceptable. Even the red-haired Shanks, who was the fourth emperor, was stunned at this moment. Glancing at the vice captain Ben Beckman, they were speechless. Before and after the Waesung Great Incident, the unparalleled Red Vice Captain Ben Beckman has analyzed the truth through various clues, whether it is the migration of Sky Island or those in the conference. Unusual floating arena. Everything is on the surface and there is a powerful person behind it. Its identity must be the flying pirate Golden Lion Shiki. That even someone as smart as Ben Beckman can only guess that this is a cooperation agreement between the hero Roland and Golden Lion Shiki. Who would have thought that the reckless Golden Lion would become the hero Luo Lin's younger brother? Boss, look at this. Just as Hong's cadres were shocked by the news, the newcomer on board, Kuro Star, waved the newspaper in his hand with shock written all over his face. The hero Roland went to impel down and brought out the legendary Red Count Redfield. Newcomer, Kuro Star shouted in shock. What did you say? Red Earl Redfield. Another legend became the hero's little brother. The people of the red-haired pirates subconsciously shouted in shock. Chapter 570. What brand of plastic bags? So fit. Open black lens bracket 6 more for subscription close black lens bracket. The endless sea. No wind, no waves, no waves. This is also natural, because here is the windless zone. It has always been so since time immemorial. At this moment, on this windless sea, a large marine warship roams leisurely, cruising in this dangerous Sea King's Nest sea area. On the deck, the laughter of giants and girls continued one after another. Bow of the warship, stood a white-haired old man with braided hair, cold and arrogant. Even if he was wearing a prison uniform, he still couldn't hide his elegant and noble aura. As expected of the legendary existence, Red the Aloof, Patrick Redfield, is exactly as described in the rumors. Robin's beautiful eyes passed over the Red Earl rider on the bow, subconsciously marveling in his heart. The corner of Red Earl rider's mouth, who read Robin's admiration, even raised a happy arc. In Impel Down, 6 levels of infinite hell, he has lived a miserable life of darkness for 20 years. Ryder thought that was basically the same for his life. Who would have thought that at this time, Roland appeared and brought him back to the sun? See, spring flowers bloom. And the cute little girl remembers his prestige. The happiest thing in life is probably the same. Thinking of this, Ryder happily wanted to laugh out loud to celebrate his new life. But in the end he didn't either. Because right now it's not. He's alone. There is also the giant Saul, the little girl Robin and his old friend Roland. Red the Aloof Redfield, of course, is to carry out its high cold image from beginning to end. Thinking of this, Ryder nodded unconsciously. The breath exuding from the whole body became more and more lonely. Hee, what brand of plastic bag does this old guy fit in like this? Luo Lin thought to himself, the corner of his mouth raised an evil arc unconsciously. So, the next second, Ryder suddenly frowned, only to feel a little itchy nose. Before he could do anything, an earth-shattering sneeze does not come out. Ah, sounded, shaking the sea. The calm, waveless, windless belt of the sea made waves in circles. What followed was a long, dead silence. It was very quiet on the deck. Giant Saul and Robin both looked surprised. Ryder, whose boat turned his back to the crowd, froze under Robin's gaze, and the expression on his face was even more wonderful. He just thought about maintaining his solitary image in front of the younger generation. As a result, the next second was such an earth-shattering sneeze. Really weird. He didn't know how many years it had been like this. Just when the Red Earl was puzzled, the applause sounded. As expected of you, Ryder, you sneezed so loudly that all the sea kings below were scared away by you. Roland grinned, and the applause continued. Hearing this, Ryder immediately raised his eyebrows. As if thinking of something, an angry look appeared on the old face. Roran, were you the bastard who was doing the trick just now? Ryder asked through gritted teeth. Hey, don't talk nonsense without evidence. I didn't do anything. The nose is on your own face. How can I control your sneezing? I think 80% of it is because someone is talking about you behind your back. Roland said solemnly. It seems to make some sense. Red Earl Ryder nodded stunned. After a while, when he saw the half-smile expression on Roland's face, Ryder immediately understood everything. Sharp eyes locked on Roland, and the mind-reading observation hotkey activated. However, it was a lonely red. Because before his observation hotkey started, Roland had disappeared from his sight. Roland, who also has mind-reading observation hotkey, knows how to defend against this ability. But up to now, even if you don't need to read the mind to confirm, things are already clear. Luo Lin, you bastard, you really did it, you wait for the old man. Red Earl Ryder roared angrily, no longer his previous high-cold attitude. Taking a step forward, his body shot out in an instant, chasing towards Roland on the mast. Boom, 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 followed by a dull sound of fists and palms handing over. It was also accompanied by Roland's ridicule and Ryder's strange cry. Old men, fighting in the sky, Saul and Robin on the deck looked at each other with strange expressions on their faces. Crocodile the lone wolf before, the golden lion Shaki after the lion, and now the Red Earl Ryder. No matter what kind of powerful person he is, under the influence of Luo Lin, he will become 2 hectares in front of Luo Lin. Falling thunder he really deserves to be the boss. After a while, Saul laughed. Yes, this is the charm of the uncle's personality. Robin's beautiful eyes are shining, and his love is almost overflowing. Chapter 571 Red Earl Ryder, who was beaten to the point of autism. Subscribe. The dull crashing sound of bang, dong, boom, echoed over this windless sea. The shock wave of the force visible to the naked eye spreads, causing the calm sea surface of the windless belt all the year round to appear layer after layer of waves, like boiling. As for those under the sea kings who were waiting for the opportunity, were naturally frightened by the terrifying aura long ago and fled, and did not dare to stay in the battlefield of this monster for a while. The astonishing confrontation lasted about a quarter of an hour before it finally calmed down. In the sky. The Red Earl Redfield groaned, pulled back from the battlefield, and landed on the second deck again. Now after the war, Red the aloof Redfield has lost its former nobility and elegance. The originally neatly groomed hair was scattered, and an old face was even more bruised and swollen, with dark eye sockets, as if painted with smoky makeup. The prison uniform on his body was also torn, revealing a piece of blue and purple skin underneath. Looking so embarrassed, compared to the embarrassment of Red Earl Ryder. At this moment, standing on the mast, Luo Lin, who stood with his hands behind his back, was still as calm as ever. Body, let alone bruising wounds. Not even the corners of the clothes were messy at all. 2. A judgment is made. Gudong. On the deck, the giant Saul looked at the embarrassed Red Earl Ryder, and then at his unharmed boss. A pair of copper bells stared at the boss with big eyes, and the Adam's apple rolled, making a loud, ji-u-dong, sound. It showed how intense the shock in his heart was at this moment. Marine Vice Admiral who has experienced Roger's era. Saul the Giant knows the horror of this Red Earl who is as famous as Roger, Whitebeard and Golden Lion Shaki by himself. No. As early as when he was a crew member on the Roland ship, he already knew how powerful Red the aloof Redfield was. However, even the mighty Red Earl Rider was completely unable to fight back in front of his own boss, Roland. This is so amazing, it's unbelievable. 36 years later, how powerful is the boss who brought him from L? As expected, the boss is the god of miracles. Giant Saul murmured in shock. No matter who the opponent is, he will never lose, Uncle is the strongest in the world. Robin spoke confidently, with a bright smile on his pretty face. At this moment, who had experienced the battle with Roland on the second deck, felt like a stormy wave after another in his heart at this moment. The whole person was shocked by Luo Lin's power to the point of incomparable. Having witnessed Roland slaughter the infinite hell with his own eyes, and unilaterally slaughtering Bullet, he has long known that Roland is a complete monster. But only after a real fight with it. Only then did he know more deeply about Roland's monster level. Powerful that it can't be predicted by common sense. Even a character like him can't see the end of Luo Lin's strength now. What a monster. Red Earl Rider was swollen and bruised, and his eyelids twitched wildly. After brewing for a long time, I finally choked out 5 words. Ha ha ha, you're still a long way off, Rider. Roland grinned. Rider. What can he say about this? Skill is not as good as that of others, so it can only be said by Luo Lin. The boss is mighty. Saul cheered loudly. Ha ha ha, no big deal. Roland waved his hands modestly. Red Earl Rider's eyelids twitched wildly again when he looked at him with that modest attitude. He simply turned around, out of sight and out of mind. Sit facing the bulkhead and begin to shut down. Ha ha ha. 4. Rider's autistic behavior. Roland laughed again without mercy. Gentle Giant Saul, who was always thinking of others, scratched his head embarrassedly, and did not rub salt on Rider's wound. Boss, we have stopped here for a long time, when are we going back? Saul asked expectantly. After learning from Robin's mouth that the former subordinates of Luo Lin and his brothers were all in Wei Sung, Saul couldn't wait to reunite with everyone and celebrate. Don't worry, Saul, go right away. Roland grinned isho and turned his eyes to the southeast. Saul and Robin on the deck also followed Luo Lin's line of sight subconsciously. After a while, a small black dot appeared in their sight. At the same time, the windless sea in the windless zone of the ancient well suddenly appeared violent waves. As if some behemoth was about to burst out of the sea. Crash. Chapter 572 Lonely 2 hectares. Messy. Sea King Overlord. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. The endless calm and windless zone of Walala suddenly saw violent waves on the sea surface. It was even more exaggerated than the aftermath of the battle between Roland and Earl Red. The sea with a radius of several thousand meters trembled violently at this moment. In the depths of the dark sea, it seems that something huge is stirring the boundless wind and clouds. Could it be that? Saul seemed to have thought of something, and an expression of extreme horror appeared on the giant's face. Marine Vice Admiral who roamed the sea for decades, how could Saul not know the horrors of the windless belt? This is the den of various deep-sea large sea kings. Among them, there is no shortage of ferocious existences that swallow an island in one bite. Since ancient times, the windless zone is also known as the ship's graveyard. Even Marine didn't dare to get involved in it too much. Until genius scientist Vegapunk came up with a solution. His research found that seastone can release an energy similar to that of the sea. The seastone is embedded in the bottom of the warship, which can greatly block the perception of the sea kings, so as to achieve the purpose of safely passing through the windless belt. It was not until Vegapunk's research on this technology was successful that Marine was finally able to travel freely through the windless belt. greatly improves the efficiency and saves the time from the Great Route to the Four Seas. However, Saul also knows that using Seastone to block the perception of Sea Kings is not a panacea. If they stay in one place for too long, they will eventually be discovered and attacked. As now appeared the waterfalls and mountains suddenly rising from the sea hundreds of meters away, Saul couldn't help subconsciously exclaiming, He, Saul, it's alright, don't be nervous at all. Robin couldn't help laughing. Hearing Robin's sweet laughter beside him, Saul's tall body stopped. Yes. He was so nervous now than when he led the army himself. There is an invincible boss on this warship now, not to mention a mere sea king. Didn't you see that even the famous Red Earl Rider was beaten up by the boss? He was also alarmed by the sea's change, and the Red Earl got up to check the situation. His observation hockey Ben locked Roland. Let's see what kind of plane Roland is doing. Never thought that Luo Lin's speed and reaction were too fast, so he avoided it directly. Happened that Saul was next to him again, and his body was bigger. So he just happened to be read by Saul's last mental activity that he used as an example. He's meow, I fell. Read the aloof Redfield's hard to recover high cold attitude broke again. Just when Red Earl Rider was in a mess. Hundreds of meters away, the seawater waterfall on the uplifted mountain above the sea flowed completely. Instead, a giant Orochi head with sharp edges and corners appeared in the sight of the four people. A single head is more than twice the size of Marine's large warships. It is enough to imagine how huge the body left under the sea is. Ji Yudong looked at the huge sea snake that appeared, and even though he was prepared, Saul's Adam's apple still rolled subconsciously. Turning to look at Roland and Robin beside him. Rollins is just that. There was no trace of fear or nervousness on Robin's face, but a bright smile. What's the matter? Saul's big head couldn't help but give birth to countless small question marks. Next moment. What made Saul and Ryder on the second deck even more shocking happened. I saw Robin trotting a few steps, leaning against the boat rail, raising his right hand high, waving at the super-large sea king who appeared hundreds of meters away, and said, Hello. Hey, little black, this way, this way. Robin smiled and greeted. The 5,000-meter level deep-sea Orochi that appeared was the Sea King tyrant who was tamed by Luo Lin on their way to East Blue. Later, Luo Lin was appointed to be responsible for the transportation of the windless route between East Blue and the Great Route. Robin is no stranger to it. Robin, do you know it that? Super-large Sea King. Saul exclaimed in surprise. Robin nodded naturally. This. Saul, who got Robin's affirmative answer, felt that his brain was a little useless. Saul, I haven't seen you for 36 years, have you even forgotten my abilities? Roland smiled. Boss's ability. Saul was stunned at first. After a while, he reacted, and a look of surprise appeared on a giant's face. He remembered Roland's other identity, the Sea King. The acquaintance of Robin with the super-large Sea King certainly subverts the three views. But if there is Luo Lin's Sea King's power as the premise, then it's all natural. Chapter 573 Robin is a hooligan when he's drunk. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. The endless windless sea. An inexplicably long black line galloped past. There were violent waves on this calm sea. The scene was magnificent. If someone flew high enough, it would be a shocking discovery. The anomalous creature that caused the windless belt to raise the big waves was a super-large sea snake with a length of more than 5 kilometers. Such huge sea kings generally only haunt in the deep sea, and will not easily go up to the sea. Today, however, it is indeed unusually galloping over the sea. Everything is naturally because of the warship above its head, and the people on the warship. Santin Island, where Alabasta Waysung is located, can almost be said to be located near the starting point of the Great Route. As for the windless Impel Down, it is close to the end of the park. The two are north and south, and they are far apart from each other. When he came, Llewellyn only took Robin with him, and relying on his own space ability, he was extremely fast. Takes less than an hour to arrive at Impel Down. However, going back, this method is not very good. After all, there are 2 more people. Among them are large giants like Saul. Even with Roland's space ability, it would be troublesome to take 3 people to perform space replacement jumps at the same time. More importantly, it is dangerous. After all, that is the power of space. Not so. They, the incompetent beings who are carried by, will be torn to shreds by the power of space. Therefore, when Impel Down, Roland asked the Commander-in-Chief Kong for a warship to travel. But even with the power of Marine's large warships, at least a week to cross the windless zone and return to Weisung on the other side of the sea, which was too slow. The meantime, special navigators are required to control the direction and route, which is too troublesome. Rollins didn't want to do it himself. Saul is too big to be at the helm. As for the Red Earl Rider, let's forget it. Thinking about it, Roland eventually decided to find a creature strong enough to pull the cart. In this windless belt, the most indispensable thing is large sea kings. After exploring with the power of the Sea King, Llewellyn accidentally discovered that the 5,000-meter level black snake he had encountered was now cruising nearby and expanding his territory. With cooked snakes around, Llewellyn would naturally not bother to find other Sea Kings. At Llewellyn's call, the 5,000-meter black snake came obediently. Large warship above its head will return quickly in the direction of the fastest Weisung. At the speed of the little black snake, it is estimated that it will take up to 2 days to. In 2 days, I will see you all again. How lucky I am. On the deck of the warship, the giant Saul sighed with hope. Thinking of being able to see his brothers who had been born and died before, his heart was so excited that he couldn't help himself. Saul, no matter how impatient it is, the time to return to Weisung will not be shortened. Before the official banquet starts, let's eat something to fill up your stomach. You probably haven't had a good meal for a long time, right? Robin opened his mouth with a sweet smile, holding an exquisite meal in his hand. With Robin's reminder, Saul, who was not hungry at first, suddenly heard a thunderous drumbeat in his stomach. In these 20 years in infinite hell, let alone delicious food, it is not bad to starve to death. Although the plate in Robin's hand is a little smaller, the mosquito is still meat no matter how small it is. Besides, it was Robin's intention, so Saul naturally wouldn't be picky at all. Sorry, Saul, this isn't for you, yours is behind. Just as Saul was happily ready to reach out his fingers to pick it up, Robin, the playful and sly Isho, moved his lotus step lightly and walked straight to Roland on the reclining chair beside him. Falling thunder he. Saul, who knew that he had made an oolong, could only laugh to relieve the embarrassment. Big man, you can't eat the little girl's love meal, why don't you come and try the old man's craftsmanship? The voice of Red Earl Rider sounded. Red Earl Rider, who put on a chef's uniform, pushed a cart of steaming barbecued meat out of the cabin. Mr. Rider cooks by himself, thank you very much, he. Saul laughed. Hey, Rider, isn't that bad craftsmanship? Roland, who was eating Robin's special love meal, smiled and said. That is. Red Earl Rider puffed out his chest proudly. Then when you go back, let you be our sous chef in Weisung. Roland squinted and smiled. Gah. The smile on Rider's old face solidified. He is dignified. Red the Aloof, the legendary big pirate. You told me that you want me to be a chef or a deputy to play with me, ha. Falling thunder he. Puff. Looking at Ryder's confused expression, Roland, Saul, and Robin couldn't help laughing. Rider, who knew that he had been teased again, suddenly had black lines all over his head. Ha, Rider, don't care about such little things, come, drink and drink. Roland snapped his fingers, and the wine in the storage room of the warship was sent to the deck one after another. Ryder, who had not touched alcohol for 20 years, suddenly lit up. The unhappiness in my heart was instantly swept away. From noon to dusk and then to night. The empty wine bottles on the deck were almost piled up into a hill. Even a giant like Saul is being drained at this moment. He lay down on the deck with his back on his back and began to sleep soundly. Snoring sounded like thunder. With his back against the mast, the Red Earl maintained an elegant sleeping position even though he was intoxicated. As for Robin, he was already drunk and unconscious a few hours ago. At this moment, curled up like a kitten in Luo Lin's arms. Then, the only awake Roland in the field glanced over Saul and Ryder, and finally landed on Robin, who was in his arms, ready to take him back to the cabin to rest. Only when Rollins picked up Robin. Feeling the fiery temperature of Roland's big hand, Robin snorted softly and opened his hazy drunk eyes. Roland. Chapter 575 Comeback. Wei Sung shakes. Open black lens bracket. Please order and customize close black lens bracket. Boss, Robin, why are you still on the boat? Giant Saul looked at Roland and Robin, who came out of the cabin with a look of surprise. Where can we be if we're not on the boat? Roland smiled. We've been on the boat the whole time. Robin nodded lightly, with a look of happiness and contentment. But, yesterday, I shouted after I woke up, but you guys didn't respond. Later, Mr. Ryder went to look for you in the cabin and said he couldn't find you. I thought you had already gone back first. Saul stared at her big innocent eyes and opened her mouth innocently. Looking at Saul's really big eyes, Robin lowered his head shyly and hid behind Roland. I spent the whole day yesterday. This kind of thing, it's a good thing, but Robin, who is a girl, is so embarrassed to say it. Compared to Robin, Luo Lin's face is always thicker. Sorry, Saul, Robin and I drank a little too much the night before and accidentally slept a little longer. Roland said solemnly. Ah, don't do anything, boss, you must be very tired to deal with so many people at the same time in the infinite hell, and you should sleep a little longer. Saul waved his hands again and again. For Roland's remarks, of course, is convinced. As for the Red Earl Ryder on the side. Sensing the sight from Roland, Ryder suddenly cut in disdain, and an expression of seeing through everything appeared on the old face. Hee, Ryder, I haven't seen you for a day. Where did you find the clothes? They look very fashionable. Roland rode. And Saul, your clothes are also beautiful. Calm down. Robin noticed the trendy outfit on Saul. Falling thunder. He. This is all thanks to Mr. Ryder. He helped me make this dress. Now I can go to see my brother with dignity. Thank you so much, Mr. Ryder. Saul laughed. Hey, amazing, Ryder, I didn't expect you to have this skill. Roland couldn't help but admire Ryder. Red Earl Ryder snorted proudly. Now that I know how to please the old man, let's do it. For the sake of this sentence, the old man will not expose the 2 days between you two. Ryder thought. As expected of the elegant Red Earl, he is truly unique in design. In this case, in addition to the position of the sous chef, I will appoint you as the chief designer assistant of our Wei Sung City. Roland laughed. Red Earl Ryder's tensed old face collapsed in an instant. Chief designer, assistant. Red Earl Ryder gritted his teeth. Yeah, if you had been earlier, it would have been the chief costume designer, but now this position has been taken by the starfish boy Papago. Starfish's assistant. Hearing that his supervisor was Starfish, Ryder was completely dumbfounded. Come on, I believe that with the help of your vision, our fashion clothing brand in Wei Sung will soon be popular all over the world, and you will be a world-class design master by then. I am optimistic about you. Roland smiled and patted the suffocated Red Earl Ryder on the shoulder. Ryder, who was really pissed off, patted Roland's right hand away, turned around, and didn't want to talk to him anymore. Ha. After teasing Ryder again, the Black Sea Snake brought the warship to the gateway island of Waesung. Captain Dory. Captain Brigitte. Sea Kings. Sea Kings are here. When the giant creature that can swallow the island in one bite is seen from a distance approaching. The giants Cassie and Omoy on the arch bridge screamed in shock. What? Nani? The captains of the two giants also saw the black tongue that was gradually approaching, and their eyes widened in surprise. Dory, Brigitte, don't be nervous, it's me. Roland's calm voice rang from the ears of the giants. This is the voice of Luo Lin Sheng. When he heard Luo Lin's voice, the four giants on the portal island were stunned for a moment, and then they couldn't help but be overjoyed. Captains, it's really Mr. Roland. There is a warship on the head of the Sea King class. Mr. Rollins, they are back. Giant Casey and Omoy screamed in surprise. The news soon spread back to the main city. Result, the entire Watchung was shaken by it. I dare not post the last chapter. It will definitely be banned when I post it, and I will wait until I apply for the manuscript fee. Chapter 576. Excited to meet again. Giants and companions. Open black lens bracket for subscription. Close black lens bracket. Nani, the boss is back. Saul must be with us too. Quick, get ready for the welcome banquet. I can't wait to meet them. ... When the news of the return of Luo Lin and his party reached the main city, the entire Watchung was shocked. Everyone, let me go first. A veteran who couldn't wait greeted him, and then he hurriedly stepped on the moon step and rushed overseas. I'm going too. Wait for me. Me too. A group of old guys snorted and rushed to the sky on the moon step to welcome the return of Luo Lin and his party. At the same time. Waesung Gateway Island. Destination, the mission of the 5,000-meter level Little Black Snake's trip is completed. Following Luo Lin's order, the Little Black Snake's body gradually sank into the sea and quietly retreated. Under the promotion and control of Luo Lin's power, the large warship slowly passed through the portal. Hey, Saul. Saul, do you still know us? The two giants Cassie and Oimo on the portal arch bridge waved and said hello. You are Casey and Oimo. Of the two giants on the arch bridge, Saul on the deck of the warship was stunned for a moment, and then shouted in surprise. As a contemporary of Elbaf in the Kingdom of Giants, how could Saul not remember these two childhood friends? Gum gaga, Saul kid, do you still recognize me? Baba, we meet again, boy Saul. Blue Ogre Dory and Brigitte, the Red Ghost, came from the shores of the two islands and greeted with a big smile. Mr. Dory and Mr. Brigitte, your duel is finally over. That's too good. Saul's eyes widened again, looking at Dory on the left, and Brigitte on the right, a giant face that couldn't hide his joy. Over 100 years ago. Elbaf village, the giant country, and Brigitte formed the giant pirate and went to the sea. Received a warm response from a group of young giants. Including Casey and Omoy, and others followed. Saul was also one of the best among his contemporaries at that time. It's just that due to the personal temperament being too mild, naturally he won't join. Even if the two captains of the two giants were invited together, they were all declined by Saul. Later, because of the contradiction between the two giant captains, the giant soldier pirates, who had been brilliant for a few years, announced their disintegration. Including Cassie and Omoy, the giant pirates without a leader were captured by Marine and are about to be executed. At this moment, the young, good, nun who made the four emperors Lot Linlin's heart appear. Through the captured giants, there is a play with the world government. It builds a bridge and a bond between Marine and the Kingdom of Giants. Through the guidance of the nun Carmelite, send a powerful giant fighting force to the Marine. At that time, the able-bodied Saul was naturally at the top of the shortlist. Just because of his gentle personality, Saul once again chose to escape. A peaceful and quiet life in Elbaf. Until more than 40 years ago. Vice Admiral Roland, who was on vacation, went to visit Elbaf, the country of giants, and accidentally bumped into Saul, the character in the plot. Whim, Saul got on his boat. Saul, who just wanted to go out for a walk, would never get off the boat once he got on the boat. Because Saul was really overjoyed with the atmosphere on the Roland ship. It was a new and interesting experience that he had never had in his boring life for the past few decades. In addition, those years on the Roland took him to travel south and north. I went to the Devil's Triangle to look for skeletons, heard the wonderful going bell in Gaia, and met two seniors Dory and Brigitte in prehistoric island Little Garden. These are all the most precious things in Saul's life. The experience is worth remembering for a lifetime. Saul, we meet again. Ha ha ha, Mr. Saul. Long time no see, Sir Saul. It's great to be alive and see you again. Saul. Just when the giant Saul is still immersed in the good memories of the past and grateful for everything so far. Suddenly there was a nostalgic cry from the sky. Even in the past 20 years, it is still so familiar and kind. Just listening to those voices, Saul's mind unconsciously appeared the past pictures clearly, those familiar voices and smiles. Saul took a deep breath, suppressed the emotion and joy in his heart, and suddenly raised his head. Looking at the faces in the sky, although they are old, but still kind and familiar, his eyes are unconsciously rosy. Thank you, everyone, I'm so happy to see you again. Chapter 577 Big Cheers. Celebrate the reunion. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Ha ha ha. It's so strange. Saul, are you going to cry? That's not your style, Saul. Don't you laugh all the time. Saul, it's a good day, it's time to laugh. The senior team in the sky laughed and opened their mouths one after another, stepping on the moon step and falling onto Saul's hair, shoulders, and palms. Like one after another humanoid pendant, interacting with Saul intimately. Falling thunder he. Surrounded by familiar and friendly companions. Saul finally lets out his usual characteristic laugh. Ha ha ha, that's the way it is. Then go back quickly, Sir Alfred, they are still waiting. Next is a lively banquet. Veterans were excited and shouted with joy. Oh, I almost forgot, Boss Luo Lin is still there, on the boat. A veteran patted his head and groaned. Under his reminder, the other old people also reacted. They hurriedly got off Saul and walked towards Roland on the deck. We already know about Impel Down. As expected of our boss Roland. Boss Mighty, Boss Hockey. Suppressing the riots of the infinite hell with one's own power, such a feat can only be done by our boss. Veterans complimented each other and spared no effort to pat all kinds of rainbow farts. It's all right, calm down, don't be six. Roland grinned, mingling with the veterans. Looking at this cheerful and sincere picture, Red Earl Ryder was silent. There was some inexplicable envy in a pair of deep old eyes. However, the lonely rider has always been alone and will not integrate into any group. At least not yet. The atmosphere on the ship was warm. With the joyful and excited cheers of the veterans, the ship slowly sailed into the crescent harbor of Waisung City. Bay Square. Chief Instructor Zephyr, Garp, and Alfred all waited for a long time. Further back, there are also tens of thousands of young warriors in Waisung, eagerly waiting for the return of their hero, Grand Marshal. When large warships dock in the harbor, Luo Lin, Saul and others appeared in people's sights, the sound of cheers resounded in the square, resounding through the sky. This shocking scene made Saul, who saw this scene for the first time, stunned for a while. Can't get back to God for a long time. Saul. Welcome back, boss, Saul. Until Alfred waited for the familiar cries of the veterans. Saul finally recovered from the shock of this warm cheer. His eyes fell on the familiar old brothers, and the mood that had calmed down shortly after was stirred up again. PFF'd, ha ha ha, there's a big riot this time, Luo Lin, if you continue like this, Sengoku will really be pissed off by you. Garp started laughing. How can it be so exaggerated, at most? Half dead with anger. Roland had a bright and harmless smile on his face. Occasionally think about us. The people who wipe your ass for you, Roland. Zephyr opened his mouth with a speechless expression, and glanced at Ryder, the Red Earl who was left behind and independent on the second deck, intentionally or unintentionally. Mr. Zephyr, Mr. Garp, sorry, it's all because of me. Saul scratched his head apologetically. Where, it should be the old man who wants to say sorry. If the old man could have known earlier that you were locked up and impelled down by Sengoku, there would not be so many things today, and you wouldn't have to suffer for so many years. Garp waved his hand. That kid Kuzan is really outrageous. He even hides it from the old man. When he goes back next time, he will definitely have a talk with him. No, no, no. Hearing this, Saul waved his hands again and again. I told Kuzan not to tell anyone else. I don't want Mr. Garp and everyone else to be implicated by my waywardness. Saul hurriedly explained, trying to save his best friend. You really always think about others, Uncle Saul. A beautiful female voice came from the sky. You are, Guillaume. Seeing the beautiful figure falling from the sky, Saul suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Uncle Saul, long time no see. Guillaume exhibition face issue. All right, what are you all still doing? Boss, they have come back, the banquet can start. Today, everyone is together for Saul's return, not drunk or not. Oh. As the cheers of the veterans fell, a warm celebration banquet was held again in Waisung Bay Square. Chapter 578 Red Earl and Brooke. Roland's Troubles. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Alabasta Waisung, Bay Plaza. The lively celebration banquet was opened again, and the atmosphere was warm. Is known about the young warriors of Waisung, the former giant vice admiral. But this did not delay their joy and excitement at all. Because this banquet is not only for the return of Saul, but also for the activity of their Grand Marshal, in Impel Down. It was thought to be a big crisis on a fishing reel. As a result, under the operation of Morgans, the twists and turns have turned, and instead he has once again achieved the name of a hero. This is certainly something to celebrate. Finally. Ability to get a day off from total instructor's devil training. Who wouldn't be happy with such a great event? Just as the young warriors in Waisung were snickering and rejoicing for the holiday that fell from the sky. Received the news, Zephyr picked up the loudspeaker and spoke again. Bastards, give me everything to eat and drink today. Oh! All the young soldiers shouted in unison. Then. Zephyr paused, then grinned Isho. Double the training intensity tomorrow, make up for today's share, don't be lazy, bastards. Zephyr's voice spread across the square through loudspeakers. The whole place was silent at first. Next second. Quote comma exclamation mark quote. No. Do you have to double the training tomorrow? You still can't escape. Mr. Zephyr, spare us. ... Wailing of the young warriors echoed throughout the square. Ha ha ha. You're still a long way off, boys. Little devils, you, still too young. The veterans in the center of the square burst into laughter. As expected of Mr. Zephyr, falling thunder hee hee hee. Tears splashed from the giant Saul's laugh. Come, Saul, do it. Saul, have a drink with me too. Today, it's agreed that if you don't get drunk, you won't go home. The veterans raised their glasses to Saul. Good. Saul couldn't stop nodding and drinking. 3 wine tours. The dishes have 5 flavors. Only then did the drunken veterans realize that something was wrong. Hey, the boss, it seems that you haven't seen the boss since an hour ago. A veteran said inexplicably. PFF'd ha ha ha. Garp on the side suddenly burst out laughing. That guy Roland is probably going to have a headache now. Garp had a small gloating look on his face. What? Nani? Boss has a headache. This is not good, hurry up and call the doctor. The veterans who drank too much spoke anxiously. Okay, don't make trouble, you old guys. That's the boss's own problem, and only the boss can handle it. Alfred, who also knew the reason, shook their heads helplessly. The other side. On the edge of the square. The melodious pirate song, Bink's Wine, floats in the sky. With Straw Hats Luffy, Sabo, Zoro, Bonnie who was fostered by the bear and other unfettered young people gathered together to sing and dance, it was very lively. Meantime, except for the young juniors such as Straw Hat Luffy, Roger, elders such as Rayleigh, Crocus, Brooke, Samble were also present. Red the aloof Patrick Redfield, who was also brought out of the infinite hell by Rollins. If it were an ordinary situation, for a lively banquet where a large number of people gathered, Red Earl Rider would not bring any birds. But this time is different. Because there is Brooke, the idol who occupies an irreplaceable position in his life. Listening to the beautiful violin playing, an intoxicated look appeared on the old face of Red Earl Rider. The song is over. Unfinished. Ho 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 ho, Rider, I hope this song can bring you a little comfort. Brooke opened his mouth with a smile. The Red Earl nodded silently. Rider, are you going to stay here next? Crocus asked. Before finding a new target, this old man will stay here for the time being. Red Earl Rider said politely. Ha ha ha, that's not straight at all, asshole Rider. Rayleigh laughed. Another legendary character has joined the team. As expected of our elders. Now the team has grown again. The legendary Red the Aloof joins, this is really. Sabo, Zoro, Usopp, Lucio, Bonnie and other young people on the side were shocked. Bentham, Dazbones and even Crocodile, the lone wolf, are also shocked and delighted. Everyone, don't stand still, the more lively the banquet is, the better. The heartless Straw Hat Boy would not consider these issues, and threw himself into the banquet. Oh! After the shock, the young people shouted in response to celebrate the addition of the legend. At the same time, Waesung Center Manor House. Even though he was surrounded by a group of beautiful little girls, Luo Lin's face was still not always relaxed. Instead, he frowned deeply, only to feel a headache, one head and too big. Because. Chapter 579 Robin and Nami. The tacit understanding between women. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. Waesung Central Manor House. Compared with the lively and bustling Bay Square, the atmosphere here is much quieter. However, when Luo Lin's figure appeared, the quiet atmosphere of this manor, which belonged to the little girls, was broken in an instant. Lord Roland, welcome back. Brother Rolling, hard work. Teacher, you are active in Impel Down, Sister Robin has already told us, you really deserve to be a mentor. Looking at Luo Lin who appeared out of thin air near the gate of the manor. Hancock, Nami, Vivi, Koala and other little girls who had been waiting for a long time eagerly greeted them all at once. Hands, holding thighs, coquettish each other. Surrounded by a kind of outstanding, even peerless young girls. Luo Lin is not a saint without desires, and naturally he will not be unmoved by it. Just for now. Compared to enjoying the gentle township of little girls. There is another thing that is bothering Roland at the moment. 4. A strong man like Roland who stands on the top of the world. No matter how powerful the enemy, not even the Gorosei, 5 elders from the Holy Land or even Imzi out, will not make him frown. In this world, the only person who can shake Luo Lin is Suru. Have you returned? Luo Lin opened his mouth with a headache, no longer as relaxed as he used to be. Sister Crane's words, she went back to the base 2 days ago. It's really strange. She said that she would wait for Lord Luo Lin to come back together. Empress Hancock held Luo Lin's left arm, with an innocent and happy smile on her face. Maybe something important happened at the base. After all, Sister Crane is still Marine Vice Admiral. Koala guessed. It's a pity. There is news from Lao Jin and Marianne that the water park on Paradise Island has been basically completed and can be put into play. I originally wanted to take Sister Crane with me. Vivi sighed regretfully. Okay, don't worry about it, there will still be opportunities like this in the future. Roland raised his hand and touched Vivi's little head. Vivi nodded obediently. Brother Roland, let's hurry up. Everyone has prepared a lot of delicious food waiting for Brother Roland to taste them one by one. Okay then. Luo Lin nodded and entered the house surrounded by a group of little girls. The wood is done. There's no use in worrying about it right now. Osuru can only make up for it later. The other side. Until Roland and the others entered the house, Nami and Robin near the door stared at each other with big eyes. If it were before, Nami's enthusiasm for Roran would never be left behind by any little girl. However, today, he didn't even say much. Take the initiative to give the opportunity to others. So does Robin. This is their tacit understanding as women, not little girls, but two real women, Luo Lin's women. Robin looked up, and his eyes fell on Nami's long legs. Sister Crane is because she saw Nami, you and Brother Roland. Robin spoke up. Nami pursed her lips tightly and did not answer. A pair of beautiful eyes gradually moved down, and finally landed on Robin's long legs. Sister Robin, as expected, you too. Nami's eyes narrowed to Vivi. Under Nami's gaze, Robin blushed involuntarily. Their eyes met each other, and they were silent for a long time. After a while. Hey, Nami, Sister Robin, what are you still doing here? Mr. Roland hasn't come back yet. Alice's voice came from not far away, breaking the silence in the room. Alice. Roland's words are already in it. Only then did Robin and Nami look away, looking at the girl Alice who came out of the door. Just come back. I'm just going to report Germa's affairs to Mr. Roland, so I'll go in first. Girl Alice held a stack of documents, past Robin and Nami, and trotted away first. Nami. Miss Robin. Robin and Nami spoke at the same time as they understood each other again. Sure enough, it's better to share good things with everyone. Nami giggled. I think so too. Robin nodded. Then it's decided, although I'm a little sorry. Sister Crane, but Nami makes a decision. Let's be honest with everyone as soon as possible. Robin's tacit smile added. Chapter 580 Germa's Refuge. Reju's Sacrifice. Open black lens bracket for subscription close black lens bracket. The grand banquet celebrating the return of heroes and partners ended yesterday evening. After a night. The original chaotic Watchung Square has returned to its usual solemnity. The morning. It's not yet dawn. The training area on the Waisung coast and base square was already occupied by the loud chants of the soldiers. The magnificent and imposing sea formed by the condensation of tens of thousands of warriors made waves in circles. At the same time, it also shocked and trembled overseas visitors. The sea is about 3 kilometers away from Waisung Fortress. Under the weak light of the sky, giant sea snails revealed their true bodies one after another. There are castle-shaped buildings on the back of the snail. Intertwined and combined, they turned into a mobile country on the sea, Germa 66. Father, this time you should have fully thought about it. Reju, Princess Germa, who was wearing a short pink dress, walked towards Judge with her long legs and spoke calmly. The contemporary king of Germa 66, Vinsmoke Judge nodded solemnly. Few months ago, when Waisung faced the world's heroes and held the first martial arts meeting with the Overlord level fruit as a prize. Judge and Germa set off decisively. Competing for the supremacy level crushed fruit is second to none. Judge's main purpose is to see with his own eyes who is leading the city that has risen to fame in just a few months. What's the good? At first, Judge came with the intention of forming an alliance with Waisung. However, all the major events that followed have completely subverted his thoughts. The leader behind Wei Sung is the missing marine hero, the superhero who once defeated the overlord of the sea. The martial arts conference was held. The world. After witnessing Wei Sung and the power the hero possesses, Judge's heart has already made up his mind. He knew it was up to them alone. It is difficult or almost impossible to bring Germa back to her former glory, commanding North Blue. But if there is a king of heroes, from the sea as a backer, with the support of the hero Luo Lin and Wei Sung's power, then it will definitely not be a dream for them to dominate North Blue again with Germa 66. In order to achieve this goal, it is to become someone else's vassal, and Judge does not hesitate. It really should have been so. At the first moment of the defeat of the two great emperors, Judge had already planned to leave for Wei Sung. However, the subsequent change, the sudden appearance of the world government that attacked the hero and Wei Sung, made Judge's firm heart shake. After a week of repeated entanglement and thinking, Judge finally made a decision again. Bring them any substantial benefit to Germa's domination of North Blue. Tenryubito and the government every year. In order to restore the glory of Germa's ancestors, they must find another way and obtain the support of other stronger and freer forces. Germa, this move may be a life or death move. Wrong thing is, if you lose, the whole of Germa may cease to exist. If the choice is correct, then their Germa 66 will surely surpass any previous era and achieve the supreme tyrannical cause. It was a dangerous gamble for Judge and Germa, but it was worth it. Judge is fed up with the feeling of being suffocated by the newly rising powers of North Blue, the nation standing on his head. Now is their best chance to turn over as the masters of North Blue. Reiju. Yes, sir. As you said, I missed the previous opportunity. This time we Germa want to reach a cooperation with Wachung, and we must pay a greater price. Judge opens his mouth. Reiju was silent. I've really made up my mind this time, no matter what. No matter what the price is, you have to get the support of that hero, you should understand. Judge said calmly. Yes. Reiju nodded. After a while. It's just my father, the hero Mr. Roland may not be able to see me. Reiju rode. Of course I know this, but this time is not a marriage in the political sense, you are just a commodity I dedicate to heroes. Judge spoke indifferently. It's just a commodity, ah. Reiju's little face was pale, and he couldn't help but be miserable Isho. Although he knew for a long time that his father was a complete scum, the cruel result still makes Reiju heartbroken. Either way. Even living in that city as a commodity for trade is better than living in a place full of ruthless scumbags. And there's Sanji. Thinking that even if I stay in Wei Sung as a commodity, I will not be too lonely. Reiju's pretty face finally regained a little blood. Chapter 574 Robin. Please don't leave me behind. Open black lens bracket. Subscription required. Close black lens bracket. As the recent little girl, Lucy, so wild. Roland couldn't help thinking. Looking at the gradually dishonest Robin in his arms, the expression on Luo Lin's face gradually became strange. Other side, Robin, who had regained a sense of sobriety, saw that Luo Lin didn't mean to stop it. Silver teeth nibbled, and a firm light flashed in the drunken eyes. Realizing this, Luo Lin's eyelids jumped suddenly. Figure flashed, and Robin was brought to a clean room in the cabin in a flash. Little Robin, if you're awake, don't pretend. Roland's eyes narrowed at Vivi. Hearing the words, Robin's hand movement paused. The rosy color on the pretty face soaked by the wine taste became deeper and deeper. After a moment of silence, Robin finally spoke. Uncle, you and Nami have been. Robin opened his mouth meaningfully. Roland. Silence means default. In this kind of thing, Luo Lin also doesn't want to deceive anyone. It really is. Robin's pretty face, who understood Roland's silence, unconsciously flashed a trace of loneliness. I noticed it when I saw Nami this morning, but I'm not sure yet, now. Having said this, Robin couldn't help but paused, then sighed. Hey, so angry, obviously I came first. Robin pretended to be angry, and there was a sense of powerlessness between his words. Roland. The unspeakable silence continued for a long while. Robin raised his slender hand and wrapped it around Roland's neck. 4 eyes facing each other. Uncle, I like you, most of all. Robin mustered up the courage and finally revealed the words that had been hidden in his heart for a long time. One more day. We will go back to Waysung City. Now is my last chance. I don't want to miss it again, so you too. Uncle, please don't leave me anymore. Robin spoke softly, with a pleading cry in his voice. Looking at the pretty face with her head down and listening to Robin's heartfelt revelation. How could Roland remain silent and indifferent? Blue sea. That was thousands of meters long, rolled up the boundless waves. Look, what is that? About 1,000 meters away from the black tide, on the observation deck of the pirate ship, a pirate suddenly screamed. What the hell is that? Like a creature. Such a huge creature, what the hell is that? Others on the pirate ship also discovered the existence of the straight black line, and shouted in shock. Neptune is a super large sea king. The pirates on the observation deck saw the body of the black line through the observation glass, and suddenly screamed in surprise. Super-sized sea kings. My God. What's going on? How can a level of sea kings haunt here? Just unbelievable. All the pirates on the boat were horrified. Fortunately, the black sea snake didn't care about their existence, and just rushed in one direction. It was not until the black sea snake ran far away that the pirates on the ship collapsed on the deck as if they had lost their strength. I seem to have seen a warship above the head of that sea king just now. After a long while, the lookout pirate who first discovered the black sea snake said. How is it possible? Everyone waved their hands helplessly, and then fell silent. Small episodes like this have happened many times on the way back to Waysung. Early morning 2 days later. The 5,000-meter class Black Sea Snake entered the waters of St. Tin Island with the warship overhead. Dang, 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 melodious and high-pitched bells came from above the 9 heavens. The speed of the Black Sea Snake gradually slowed down, as if listening to the music of heaven. Saul and the Red Earl Rider, who were meditating on the deck, both opened their eyes suddenly, and their faces unconsciously showed intoxicated expressions. What a wonderful bell! The Red Earl sighed. This bell, I know. Saul's emotions gradually became agitated. This is the chime of the Sky Island going bell. The boss took us to hear it before. Have we arrived in Gaia? Saul muttered to himself. No, Saul, it's time to get home. Robin's voice came from the cabin. I'm home. Didn't the boss's Waysung say it's in Alabasta, but Sky Island should be Gaia? Saul was shocked. Because now Sky Island has been moved to Alabasta by Uncle. Robin blinked playfully. Oh, even this kind of thing. Saul's eyes widened in shock again. After a while, Saul's eyes were fixed on Robin and Roland, who came out of the cabin after him. What's wrong? Robin blushed slightly, thinking that Saul saw something. Boss, Robin, you're still here, on the boat. Saul spoke in surprise.